In our spiritual journey, we are constantly challenged by various forces and influences, some visible and others more subtle. Sometimes, we find paths illuminated by moments of clarity and deep connection with the divine. But we also face challenges that may seem darker, moments when we feel disoriented, tired, or even disconnected from what spiritually sustains us. Have you ever found yourself questioning the nature of these difficulties? And how do we know if we are facing not just an everyday battle, but a true spiritual attack? It's common along the spiritual journey to encounter challenging moments that go beyond mundane worries. And this is where the concept of a spiritual attack comes in. The idea of a spiritual attack is not necessarily linked to religious and cultural barriers. It's a phenomenon that can impact anyone who is seeking a path of greater awareness and connection with the divine. In this context, it becomes crucial to be aware of the signs and symptoms that may indicate unwanted interference in our pursuit of connection and spiritual growth. So, if you feel like you're being challenged in ways that go beyond the usual, this video is for you. Today, we're going to explore the warning signs of a spiritual attack and discover how to navigate wisely through these turbulent moments of our spiritual journey. Be open to reflecting on your own experience and finding ways for spiritual renewal and overcoming the challenges that may arise on this sacred path. I hope that together, we can find light and understanding to strengthen our spiritual journey. In our spiritual journey, one of the first warning signs we may face is apathy towards spiritual practices that once filled us with enthusiasm and purpose. Spiritual apathy manifests itself as a kind of fog that descends on the heart, obscuring the glow of faith and connection with the divine. Identifying this decline in spiritual enthusiasm and purpose may not be as obvious as other, more tangible challenges. Have you noticed a gradual decrease in your willingness to engage in spiritual practices that used to bring joy and meaning to your life? Perhaps you've experienced a lack of motivation to meditate, pray, or seek spiritual teachings. To renew the connection with the universe and overcome spiritual apathy, it's important to recognize the early signs of this state. Sometimes, apathy may be mistaken for simple fatigue or distraction, but when it persists and obscures our spiritual vision, it may indicate a deeper influence. An effective way to combat spiritual apathy is to seek out small daily practices that can bring back the light of connection with the divine. Set aside time to meditate, even if it's just for a few minutes. It could be when you wake up or just before going to bed. Try to find inspiration in sacred texts, spiritual music, or nature. Share your experiences and challenges with people who accompany you on this spiritual journey. This can also help you. Spiritual apathy is not a permanent sentence, but rather a sign that something needs to be adjusted in our spiritual practice. When we recognize and face this challenge with courage and determination, we can reignite the flame of our spiritual connection and continue to move forward on our journey with renewed purpose. Throughout this journey, many of us encounter financial challenges that go beyond material concerns. These challenges can serve as a warning sign for a spiritual attack, especially when we find ourselves facing choices that test our faith and spiritual commitment. It's important to recognize that financial difficulties may be more than mere coincidences. They can be part of a spiritual test, where we are confronted with the decision between trusting in divine provision or seeking only material gains. These choices are not just about money. They are about the spiritual guidance we seek to follow in our lives. During periods of scarcity and financial uncertainty, it's crucial to seek divine guidance. Instead of despairing or succumbing to fear, we can turn to the universe for direction and sustenance. And this is where the power of faith comes in. Faith enables us to navigate through difficult times with courage and hope, trusting that we will be guided beyond material limitations. By facing financial challenges as a sign of spiritual attack, we can find comfort and guidance in spiritual practices. So, in these situations, take a moment to pray, meditate, and seek answers through your spiritual connection. Remember that spiritual wealth is more valuable than any material wealth, and it is through this wealth that we find true peace and security. Our choices during periods of financial difficulty shape not only our external circumstances, but also our inner spiritual journey. When we seek divine guidance and maintain an unshakable faith, we can overcome any challenge with spiritual integrity and inner growth. Persistent fatigue and exhaustion can also manifest as signs of a spiritual attack. Although we often associate fatigue only with physical tiredness, it's important to understand that it may have deeper roots on a spiritual level. Fatigue can make us feel discouraged and unable to fully commit to our spiritual practices. These are times when we feel exhausted not only physically, but also emotionally and spiritually. This constant fatigue can be a trap to undermine our connection with the universe, making us less likely to seek inspiration and spiritual guidance. To restore our spiritual and physical energy, we must prioritize seeking spiritual renewal. This includes setting aside time for proper physical rest, but also for spiritual recovery through meditation, prayer, and cultivating positive thoughts. Silence and contemplation can be powerful antidotes to spiritual fatigue, allowing us to reconnect with the divine and recharge our inner energies. But it's also important to seek activities that nourish our soul, such as spending time in nature, listening to inspiring music, or engaging in creative hobbies. These practices help restore balance between body, mind, and spirit, strengthening our spiritual resilience against attempts of spiritual attack. When we recognize persistent fatigue as a spiritual warning sign, we can transform this challenge into an opportunity for renewal and spiritual growth. The pursuit of spiritual renewal is not just a necessity, but a transformative journey that strengthens and guides us in our quest for true spiritual fulfillment. Another very common sign of a spiritual attack is the decline in prayer and meditation life. Prayer and meditation are essential pillars of the spiritual journey, offering us a sacred space to connect with the divine and nourish our soul. However, when facing a spiritual attack, we may encounter obstacles that prevent us from maintaining this vital practice. The decline in prayer and meditation life can be caused by a variety of factors, from daily distractions to feelings of despair or spiritual disconnection. Identifying these obstacles is the first step to revitalizing our spiritual life. It's essential to recognize that spiritual life is not immune to challenges or external interference. Sometimes the fast pace of modern life can take us away from the silence and contemplation necessary for deep spiritual connection. In addition, emotional or mental worries can obscure our ability to tune into the divine. To revitalize our prayer and meditation life, we can start by reintroducing simple practices into our daily routine. So, with that in mind, try to set aside a moment every morning for a brief meditation or period of reflection. You can also keep a spiritual diary to record your experiences and thoughts during prayer time. Engage in spiritual communities or study groups that can offer support and inspiration on your journey. But remember that spiritual practice doesn't have to be perfect. The important thing is cultivating the intention and will to connect with the divine. Because by overcoming the obstacles that hinder our prayer and meditation life, we can restore spiritual vitality and find a new sense of purpose in our journey. Mental and emotional confusion can also be a revealing sign of a spiritual attack affecting our spiritual journey. When we find ourselves in a state of confusion, anxiety, or fear, our connection with the divine can be obscured, making it difficult to find the spiritual clarity we seek. It's important to understand that mental and emotional confusion is not just a psychological issue. It has deep roots in the spiritual realm. When facing a spiritual attack, we are confronted with doubts and uncertainties that shake our spiritual foundation. To overcome the anxiety and fear that accompany mental and emotional confusion, we can turn to our faith as a source of strength and comfort. Trust that the universe is by your side at all times, guiding you through life's storms. Another very important practice in this process is practicing gratitude and acceptance, recognizing that every challenge is an opportunity for spiritual growth. Spiritual clarity is essential on our journey, as it allows us to discern between the noise of the mind and divine guidance. When we cultivate spiritual clarity through meditation, prayer, and reflection, for example, we can find answers to our deepest questions and feel the comforting presence of the divine in our lives. But know that mental and emotional confusion is not a sign of spiritual weakness, but rather a call to deepen our connection with the universe. By facing this challenge with courage and faith, we can transform confusion into clarity and discover a new sense of purpose and direction in our spiritual journey. The resurgence of old habits can be a clear sign of a spiritual attack, seeking to undermine our spiritual progress and take us away from the path of enlightenment. When we find ourselves returning to negative behaviors or patterns we had overcome, it's important to recognize that we are facing a significant spiritual challenge. It's essential to view old habits as obstacles to our spiritual growth. These habits can prevent us from moving forward on our journey, keeping us trapped in self-destructive patterns that obscure our spiritual vision. To resist temptations and negative patterns, we must cultivate a deep awareness of our thoughts and behaviors. That's why it's important to recognize the emotional triggers or specific situations that trigger old habits, so that you can take conscious steps to avoid these traps. In addition, you can strengthen your ability to resist temptations by seeking support, either in a spiritual community or with people who accompany you on this journey, and also by practicing self-compassion and forgiveness. When facing the resurgence of old habits, it's important to keep a positive perspective and trust in our capacity for transformation and spiritual renewal. We are not limited by our past mistakes. We are beings capable of learning, growing, and evolving on our spiritual journey. Through commitment to change and continuous pursuit of inner truth, we can transcend old patterns and move closer to true spiritual fulfillment. Isolation and distancing from spiritual relationships can be indicators of a spiritual attack, seeking to undermine our connection with the divine and spiritual community. Isolation in certain situations may even help us, but it's not always a positive indicator, and it's crucial to differentiate that. When we distance ourselves from relationships and community that support us on our spiritual journey, we become more vulnerable to negative attacks. Isolation can deprive us of emotional support, spiritual guidance, and inspiration that come from relationships with other spiritual seekers. We can even feel lost and helpless when disconnected from a spiritual community. It's essential to recognize the importance of spiritual relationships and community in our spiritual journey. Finding mutual support and spiritual unity helps us face spiritual challenges with courage and hope. We can seek spiritual unity and mutual support by participating in study groups, prayer meetings, or even community activities that promote spiritual connection. When we engage in these practices, we find inspiration, friendship, and guidance that help strengthen our spiritual resilience against negative attacks. Disturbing dreams and visions can also be signs of a spiritual attack that seeks to undermine our emotional stability and our connection with the divine. As spiritual beings on a journey of growth and self-discovery, it's essential to recognize and understand the spiritual messages that can be transmitted through these experiences. The first step in dealing with disturbing dreams and visions is to recognize their spiritual nature. Often, these experiences can contain symbolic messages or important insights about our spiritual and emotional life. So, be open to interpreting these signs with a calm and receptive mind. When interpreting disturbing dreams and visions, it's essential to consider the emotional and spiritual context in which they occur. Question the recurring patterns, symbols, and emotions recalled by these experiences. In addition to interpretation, it's crucial to respond to disturbing experiences with positive and proactive actions. Use spiritual practices such as meditation, prayer, and cultivating positive thoughts to strengthen your spiritual connection and protect yourself from negative influences. And most importantly, remember that spiritual communication is a powerful tool for guidance and protection. Be open to receiving messages from the divine through dreams and visions, trusting in the inner wisdom that seeks to guide your journey. By cultivating an active relationship with the universe through spiritual communication, you strengthen your spiritual connection and become more resilient against spiritual challenges that may arise. When you honor and respond to the spiritual signs present in dreams and visions, you align yourself with the divine and find guidance and protection along your spiritual journey. So remember, spiritual communication is a bridge to understanding and transformation, allowing you to explore the depths of your being and achieve a higher level of spiritual awareness. I hope this message helps you in your spiritual journey and serves as a light on your path. After all, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I hope that together we can find light and understanding to strengthen our spiritual journey. Thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Thanks again for watching and for joining me. Take care and see you soon.